Venomancer are going to come out. We've talked Veno to death, but in case this is your first Dota tournament you've ever seen, this hero good in lane, make poison big hurt.
I have a question about make poison big hurt.
Yes.
Why make poison make big boo boo?
Yes, very good question. Poison chemical reaction upon dermis of skin. Sorry.
Ouchie.
But no, can we talk about lanes here? It's getting a little.
Still talk about poison boo boo.
My boo boo. Listen, I'm getting a little weird about these lanes here from NaVi. Which is the?
This is Veno Earth Spirit on the offlane, Alchemist Oracle safe lane most likely.
Okay.
Now the question is, what do Cyber Legacy pick here with this Vengeful? Is it something like a Terrorblade? Is it a Drow? TB would be alright for them, I suppose. It's decent versus Veno. Overall, it's a carry that just wins games at the moment.
Yeah. And it looks real strong. A Veno and Earth Spirit lane, if you just get something that's equally aggressive, that lane is just destroyed. I mean, Earth Spirit has to do a lot of work to make that one work. And if you had a Drow or a Terrorblade...
What else is in the pool? There's Sven as well, right? But you don't really want to lane versus Veno. It can be a little bit difficult until you get that Aghanims. And you don't benefit as much from the Vengeful Spirit as some of these ranged heroes. But I'm still Medusa. All right, we have seen this yesterday. I think like 3 out of 4 starting or 4 out of 4 starting games yesterday. We had
literally the entire day yesterday.
Our new broken hero.
Yeah, and with the Venge as well, we've seen it to great avail. What was the consensus on Medusa yesterday? Because there were a lot of games that were good games to see Medusa come out.
Yeah.
So obviously we were going to see Medusa thrive. But Fogged and a bunch of the other casters that were coming kind of towards the middle of the day to cover everything that was going on in Immortal just walked in. They're like, Deuce is broken. First pick Deuce. Deuce is sick.
Nah,
you guys feel like it is that good?
It is good. I'm not sure if it's broken. Still, it's one of those heroes that... It's a matchup as well. It's what you played it against. It's a fact that people haven't really thought about it that much in the current state of the game because it hasn't been picked as much, and then it just dominates a couple of games and all right, it's broken. It hasn't been figured out completely how to counter it with the heroes that are being played right now.
So you don't think it's the new wave? It's just it fits against all of the heroes that are popular in the meta right now. So there are going to be quite a lot of games that are good for Deusa, but some of the off-meta heroes can probably take down Deusa in the long run.
Exactly, it fits. And also it fits a lot with heroes that are being played right now. So you can combo Deusa really well. We saw it with some Phoenixes, with some Pucks, with Dream Coils, right? It's really strong. This big team fight.
It's the answer to the current meta, making it meta, even though it is not powerful enough to be meta.
Well, you know, I don't know. I think that ranged heroes are so powerful right now in general. And then you have like a 3-person pick, right? You can say, okay, do I want a ranged glass cannon? Do we have enough frontliners? Go for Drow. Do I have a ranged guy that he could go either way, but we really need damage? You go for Terrorblade. Do we need a ranged hero that might need to take team fights, might need to take a lot of hits, then you can go Deusa. But with Deusa in particular, you have to assume that you're going to get to the mid to late game and get those items, which is kind of a problem for a lot of these high-paced meta, but they pick Alchemist first. So we already know that we're probably going to be in a mid-game to late-game situation. Why not pick a carry that can dance in those times, right?
And we talked about these heroes that are very good with Deusa. Cyber Legacy has actually banned out the Puck themselves. They don't want to play against that, even though it would have been alright for them. They go for the Death Prophet. They actually lacked team fight and they lacked objective taking capabilities, so Death Prophet is a solid pick for them. Now if you're NaVi, you need to not only answer the Deusa, but the Death Prophet on the mid lane, which can be a little bit difficult to deal with both of those heroes in one pick.
This is a pretty solid draft coming together for Cyber Legacy. You already started to mention you got to answer quite a few threats with one pick right now on the side of NaVi. If you were just looking at their draft in and of itself right now, do you feel like it's missing pieces too, without even having to answer those threats?
It's pretty solid as well on the side of NaVi. I think you just focus on yourself and your game plan, and that's it. Perhaps get a good matchup on the mid lane. Because if you play your draft right, and if this Alchemist comes online fast enough, you're going to have this extreme power spike around the 25th minute mark with Venomancer, with Third Spirit, with Alchemist before any of the BKBs come online, if they even buy BKBs in Cyber Legacy. And there you go, they go with Alina.
I like that. I think that Cyber Legacy has some greed here, you know? Death Prophet, Dusa, Tiny, and Darkseer all need items to be effective. And meanwhile, it looks like NaVi is going for the straight run-at-you strat with an Alchemist in the back. If this Alchemist is more of a kind of early-game fighter rather than a stay in the jungle for 30 minutes, that kind of aggression could tear this team apart.
Yeah. Navi's draft, I like it a lot. At the same time, they can't afford themselves to make any big mistakes.
True.
This Lina as well can dominate and crush a lane, but you're playing versus Tiny Darkseer, versus Venge with Swap. One mistake in positioning and you're just gone from this game. And you're playing versus a Medusa that eventually is the true win condition of the game.
Yep.
Yeah, it kind of feels like this one's very much balanced on a razor's edge, to say the least. We're going to see that echoed in the odds from EGB.com. This is one of those ones where it does definitely feel like it could go either way. You start to mention some of the timings that we're going to be looking at as well in this matchup, but I do want to talk about laning just a little bit more because you started to paint that picture of how laning is going to look, Lizard.
Yep.
For the folks at home, what are the main matchups that you're looking for as we kick this one off?
The most interesting lane most likely will be the Venomancer Spirit versus Dusa Avenge. That lane can go really, really wrong for the Medusa, like if they play it right. The other one, Alchemist and Oracle, I think that's just a free farm while Tiny is rotating.
Yep.
Well, you start to talk about all the things that could go wrong inside of the game. I'm already thinking about all of the things that could go wrong in the cast itself because we got Kyle casting this one.
Cyber Legacy. Natus Vincier. Let the battle begin!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, NaVi ready to go up against Cyber Legacy. I'm OD Pixel here with Kyle. We've just had the drafts. Kyle, you excited to see this one? We're getting some big picks coming out early. The Alchemist coming in second pick this game from NaVi.
Hey, I like it. We got old NaVi versus new NaVi, right? And both squads kind of just sticking to their identities. Oracle Alch on the side of real NaVi, and then the Venge Medusa, which was a magical special at the start of his career, throughout his history with NaVi, and even today. So, not really sure who I give the favorite to.
I mean, on paper, when you sort of see a team have that confidence in an Alchemist, like, is this one of those carry heroes, core heroes that you feel that you can sort of just throw out at the start of the draft and get away with?
Yes and no. I think it really depends on the setup. But when you have an Oracle, there's just so much natural synergy with these two heroes. If you just have your Alch ult running when the Oracle ult gets popped on you, you're just going to survive. But I think I favor Dusa in a carry versus carry matchup. It's actually a magical Death Prophet. Wow, okay, they're going to keep Kuman on the Dusa. I mean, that makes sense. He plays it too. The thing is, the Death Prophet in this game is probably the key when you consider that he's going to be the main source of the objective damage, and ultimately, NaVi have a ton of burst, but if they can't kill him 100-0, he's going to survive, and the silence is super key against specifically this support duo.
Yeah, what do the sort of timings look like here? So if you're NaVi going for this draft against the Alchemist, is the idea as the Dusa that you out-carry the Alch, or are they going to start bringing it pretty fast against NaVi at a point of the game where Crystallize is maybe not quite ready to join the fight?
It's really just you out-carry him, especially once you hit the Scotty timing around like third item. We saw yesterday in that, well, you saw yesterday in that 100-minute match how much damage a Drow can output. Once you get up to the higher levels, you suddenly have like enough DPS plus the Scotty on top. Dusa does the same sort of thing, and if you look at the damage output of NaVi, how are you going to kill the Dusa with these heroes?
Yeah, I guess late game, the only sort of serious output is going to be the Alch getting on top of the Medusa. But if he's not able to do that, Kuman's going to be sitting pretty nicely in the fight's bottom lane. Kuman actually going to try and make an early attempt on him here. Past the creep wave, NaVi, they're just diving onto the Dusa. There's nothing to save him. Kuman. All right, goes down here as NaVi getting aggressive. Slayer.
Wait, what?
Whoa, Slayer.
Slayer?
I mean, he's gonna die. He's gonna. What's he doing?
What?
Or maybe he's not.
Oh my God, they lost the creep wave too. That's even worse. I actually think it would have been better if Slayer just dies there.
Sure, because now he's stuck at low HP.
Yeah. And they lost a whole creep wave of experience, plus the lane is pushing. This surprise tri-lane from NaVi has really caught Cyber Legacy off guard. Are they going to keep it as well? Yeah, why not? You just dumpstered him in the level 1. Stay here.
Full Slayer. Just going to have to turn on that magic missile there. Make sure he's able to get back. But yeah, having to eat through his tangos very, very early in this lane is the Venge. That early damage being done by NaVi.
It's funny, like, I just autopiloted, assumed that this would be a magical Dusa mid, because it's also a very favorable matchup for the Dusa. But when you put him in the safe lane, we've seen this before, but this aggro tri-lane, you know, there isn't really a great counterplay here from CL, because a Tiny coming bot with boots first, 0 armor, you're not going to help out too much. Maybe if the lane was in front of tower, but now that it's pushed, Bignum has no purpose in this lane.
And then in this mid lane, how do we expect things to go? Is it a bit of an edge for the Lina in this matchup, or is it pretty even?
Pretty even, but definitely Lina favored. It's tough to get any long duration drains off as the DP. You're also slightly outranged. Lina at 625, I think DP 550, or maybe it's the full 600.
We'll see now with the side lane settling. NaVi going to keep the 2 up top. Oracle in position to try and make sure the Alchemist gets space to farm.
Yeah.
I mean, against the Darkseer Tiny, is there going to be a point in this lane where Crystallize is going to feel pretty threatened by these heroes?
Depends. I think they'd need to be substantially ahead, which is quite unlikely in this spot. He's already got the bracer up, so I don't think diving him is going to be a thing, especially against the Oracle.
I guess Oracle's just always going to put a stop to it, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the trouble with this Oracle versus Darkseer. Like, yeah, sure, you're going to be okay as the DS. You're going to use some creep mechanics. You'll CS fine, but pressure, aggression just doesn't happen if they can. If your shells are constantly purged off.
Yeah, on the other side of the map, down bottom, despite that first death, looks like Kuman is able to farm pretty decently. They will try and make another move onto him, but with the level 2 with the shield and plenty of tangos in preparation for this lane, Kuman should be able to keep himself safe, as there's not really a serious amount of burst damage. It's going to catch him off guard, very sort of slow and drawn out.
Nice try by Pasha there. He sniffed out the salve, tried to get it cancelled. Kuman ducking behind the tree. I like the drafting style from NaVi here, though. They've been relatively inconsistent so far, but I think that they've kind of stuck to their strengths, right? Keep Pasha on this aura-buying team fighter, Young G on a playmaker, you know, a true skill mid laner, and then Crystallize on his Alchemist. He's had a couple of rough games, but his Alch's definitely solid. It's something they've been willing to first to for him for the last, I don't know, year or so. So we can expect a solid performance from all 3 cores.
Young G continuing to have the slight edge in the lane. Magical is going to be hunting for that 4-minute room. We're also going to have the movement from Tiny heading over. Make sure there's that extra bit of control. Ilias is there. And they're not going to get lucky with the spawn there. Cyber Legacy, it's going to be down on the bottom, and a big one as well here as Young G grabs the DD.
Do you agree, Owen, that there should be some other thing that spawns that can fill bottle? Because we've seen this how many times?
There did used to be, right? Originally, there would be a bounty rune that spawned where the power rune didn't. I can't remember how long that lasted. It was quite a while ago. Probably a few years back now.
Like, I understand we have bounty rune spawning every 5 minutes, but we could still, you know, have them spawn. Young G, this is very aggressive. He's very fire.
Was it
magical?
Oh, okay, he did it. The DD. I was going to question if maybe he overestimated what he could do with the DD, but he didn't. Young G knew it was just enough damage to outdo what the DP was able to sustain with the Cypher. He wins the trade. Bottom lane. Also, NaVi putting some heavy pressure again onto Kuman and Slayer. Slayer's trying to turn, but Slayer's just going to die.
What?
Maybe feeling that with the illusion he could set up for a kill for Kuman, but it's not going to be the case.
I am very confused.
Slayer just throwing away his life there in that lane.
Hey, let's not read too much into it. They're camping the runes for Young G. They've done a really good job on NaVi.
Big numbers. Tries for Pasha. They're going to try and chase him. They've got the slow. Oh, straight into the Laguna.
Feed the flames.
Young G takes the kill, and NaVi starting to
look at the
pretty hot.
On the Alchemist too, right? These free cores, they're huge. Already a 2k gold lead, and a little bit of that is because of the 3 points in Grievel's Greed, thanks to the Alch. But still, this is a huge advantage for NaVi. And while, yes, eventually Dusa wins this matchup, if Crystallize has some kind of Radiance, BKB, AC timing 20 minutes into the game, you just walk at towers. And ultimately, if you look at Cyber Legacy's team fight, they just don't have enough to kill Alchemist if he's that far ahead. And no real BKB piercing damage whatsoever.
Yeah, for sure, Radiance BKB is going to be pretty deadly this game for Cyber Legacy. And Crystallize, he's going to hit those timings. I mean, is there anything that Cyber Legacy can do with their lineup to try and slow him down at this early stage? Like, who can go up there and stop him?
It's going to have to be Magical. He's pretty much responsible for the entire mid-game of Cyber Legacy. The two supports can add some rotation, sure, but Deuce isn't looking to do anything. And yeah, in theory, Darkseer can Ion Shell somebody, but that Oracle factor is the issue. In theory, you aren't ever going to kill Alchemist because Ilias is going to be playing right like this. He's given him almost total solo XP. Later, he'll take lane as Alt goes to jungle, and then later than that, he just stands in the vicinity with ult ready. You're not going to kill this Alchemist.
Yeah, Blizzy just can't really do much at all against him on that top lane's DS. We'll see Big Num coming in over towards Ilias, trying to mess with him as Ilias was prepping the stacks. Young G zooming over, ready to chase down Big Num, looking to line up the Light Strike array. He'll be able to do it with ease as Young G picks up another. Yep. The movements continue to come in and making a lot of use of these runes here. 3 kills straight up for the Lina here, 7 minutes.
He's doing very well for himself. He is quite happy with his performance thus far, and this is the kind of Lina game you'd love to see. Not the Arcane Ring, Iron Talon. I mean, dude, Crystallize just has a free, literally everything you could ask for. An Iron Talon after almost total free farm. Look at the net worth, 5k gold in 7.5 minutes. He's on pace for 11 or 12 minute Radiance right now.
Yeah, no signs of slowing down. Bottom lane, NaVi hunting in the trees, won't quite find Slayer. Slayer's able to duke it out to the side, but 8 minutes in, they're losing their tier 1 tower.
I love this from NaVi though. Like, play around the Veno, spam the wards, the build from Pasha, just all about pressure and rushing the Veil, which will boost the damage output of both of his other cores. In fact, his entire team, right? 18% more damage across the board, including on that inevitable Radiance for Crystallize. You want to force Cyber Legacy to respond to you, not worry about your other 2 cores. So even if Pasha dies down here, it's going to require 3 or 4 heroes rotating, and ultimately, you're defending your own tower, not threatening one of mine, so win. Young G, second highest win rate item, tier 1 item in Dota, behind Keen Optic.
Very nice one. At least the balance was there. I believe both teams this game getting an Arcane Ring.
You think that both sides should get the same neutral items?
I mean, I guess theoretically that would be closer to balanced. But then again, I feel like the fact that there's already the RNG of the neutral items in the game, it's sort of like you know, you're not going the whole way then, and then you sort of question the fact that you actually do have these items straight up in the first place. You know? Why try and look for balance at a sort of a stage of it that where the balance isn't necessarily already there? It's already relied on RNG, so I don't know how much of a difference it would really make if you made it that both teams got the same.
I think just I only say it because of the tier 5 items in the yesterday's game, where it felt like, you know, Drow gets a ballista, and it's just like, what's up with this? They get the top tower, Magical pops the ultimate, so unfortunately, NaVi sniffed that out, right? They were already long gone. Crystallize moved to the jungle. He's just trying to maximize his CS and get that Radiance ASAP. Mid is where the battleground should be expected, because Cyber Legacy need to take this mid tower sooner rather than later, because at a point, NaVi are going to just get this death ball going and collapse. And they might be doing it right now. Veno rotating around. They know there's no DP ult.
Let's see around this mid. NaVi. I mean, again, these towers just can't seemingly be defended by Cyber Legacy. They're just having to let them go. We're just 10 minutes in. It's another tier 1 that the NaVi just walks up and takes, and Cyber Legacy not ready to put together any sort of defense.
And this is the trouble. If you look at how this is a part of the dire advantage to the map. If you can take this bottom tier 1 early, it's so much easier to control the Radiant bottom jungle and then collapse on the mid tower. You look at where Alk is farming. He is not threatened whatsoever, even though his safe lane tower goes down. Cyber Legacy just don't have the map control, even though they swapped objectives. They're forced to still stay on their own side of the map as Alchemist less, and now, a 10 minute, 45 second Radiance. for Crystallize.
They've just not been able to get on into his jungle at all. It's free farm for the Alchemist. And just the power of the Alch when he gets the free farm. Yeah, 11 minutes in, double net worth of any of the cores on Cyber Legacy's side pretty much. And that's only going to continue, even with when the Midas is up and rolling on the Medusa. You're not going to catch up to this out. Crystallize is going to consistently be at least an item ahead.
And I know it'll look strange that Kuman goes for a Brown Boot Midas. You're thinking, oh, but they're going to have to fight. They're going to have to defend towers real soon. What's he doing? But it's the only play. You win later in the game. If you give up item progression to get some sort of fighting item now, then Na'Vi just delay their timing by 3 minutes, and Alchemist picks up an extra tier 4 item to do so. Like, you have to play for your win condition, which is becoming the most farmed hero on map. And you're just not going to do that if you go for some, like, I don't know, Dragonlance or Yash or something trying to fight.
Continue to just find kills as this Lina. Slayer having a bit of a rough one. We've seen this Venge die quite a few times this game, Slayer.
This is reminiscent of that Secret versus Nigma lower bracket series at TI, where Nigma just first picked out and just kind of walked to a win, and Secret were somewhat powerless to stop them because, you know, you always go back to the wise words of Syndran. It's an Alchemist game.
It's certainly looking like it. Magical. I mean, he's not going to be able to do anything about this immersion. He's already out. Magical just, unfortunately, wasted time for him. See this kill back on the mid where Youngji grabs another free one with the Laguna Blade available. Every time that ult's up, the squishier heroes of Cyber Legacy have to be careful. Youngji also reaching towards the level 12, so that burst is going to be very, very hard to outlive. The smoked up Na'Vi, we'll see who they can find. Again, it is this DP pushing out top alone. It's Magical. After they pushed him back the once, he returns to this top lane, and he is going to die very easily to this 4-man move from Na'Vi. They're coming out with the tips. I think they start to know that Cyber Legacy beginning to maybe lose the plot a bit in terms of what to do. Is that Magical up there? He's only ever going to die.
This I'm not going to say this game is over, but Na'Vi are in full control. If you were to compare Dota 2 to some sort of like F1 race, then Na'Vi are currently driving a minivan at 10 miles an hour, very slowly, and Cyber Legacy unfortunately can't get their engine to start.
I mean, it looks rough on the score. I mean, obviously that is amplified by the Alchemist having the Grieval's grid, as you said, being 9k ahead as a team, but it doesn't look great for Cyber Legacy. Some big numbers at just 40 minutes in from Na'Vi.
I might make a play on Pasha here, but this is just so smart from Pasha. Oracle right behind him. He doesn't need to play around Crystallize because Pasha's just, you know, this is one of the heroes with highest gravity in the meta right now. Venomancer just sucks you in because if you leave him alone for too long, he'll just take over this area of the map. Suddenly he's the one farming your ancient camp instead of the Medusa. So you have to try and stop him, but he's got Veil and Mech and an Oracle behind him, so he's not even a real target.
Well, they're going to try and go for something here, Cyber Legacy with the smoke. The 4 of them, they're going to make action happen whilst Kuman farms on the top lane. Let's see who they can find. There is the 2 of them down here. Youngji showing in the lane. They're going to look for the long wraparound upon him. He is alone. This should be a pretty solid chance of killing him. And yeah, they should have him. He's surrounded. He'll yields up.
He's a haste.
Is he getting away? No, he's not getting away. Too many heroes there on the Lina. Youngji, no plays available for him, and that's a smart move from Cyber Legacy. They need more of this.
Yeah, you needed that as well. The rune spawn, which is huge. You want to be controlling these or with an Alchemist in the game, but they're going to fight for him.
Oh, there we have it. Crystallize ready to go. Charging in. Big poison over from Pasha. Pretty much catches on to all of them, and with the Magnetize as well, they're just starting to fall. The wall gets dropped down, but there's very little damage in return. Pasha does go down to the fact that they had that wall illusion with the Radiance from the Alchemist. So they find the Veno. Blizzy, he's trying for the TP. He's not making it out. Crystallizes there with a concoction.
Yep, he purchased the pipe before he died though, so didn't lose gold. I love this build from Crystallize too. I was thinking BKB early, but nah, the Halberd for the regen amplification. There's no one who's going to be buying a Vessel in Cyber Legacy anytime soon. They need all the gold they can get on some real items, and it just amps the healing. You've got an Oracle behind you, why not? I like the decision to fight there. They recognize just how strong they are. The difficulty isn't the Alchemist even, it's the fact that Navi's other 2 cores are also ahead of their counterparts on the side of Cyber Legacy. The Alch is just a bonus who happens to have double the net worth of near everybody else in the game.
Money to burn.
I respect though, you got to make the play if you're CL here. And Kuman, he'll inevitably get there. You see the Manta illusion up. Nice job by Blizzy as well with the wall. You want to make sure to find the Alch every single time just so you can steal that Radiance and help your team get kills. They need all the damage they can get.
Yeah, we saw that last fight, pretty much the thing that was able to bring Pasha down. That is what makes the difference. So anytime the wall isn't up, pretty much impossible to fight Na'Vi in a team fight situation. Still just this rising lead, 11k at 16 minutes. This time Na'Vi's going to be the one to hit out with the smoke.
It's time to fight. You got the blink on Alch, he's ready to go. Young G's huge, the whole squad's ready to rumble. You just gotta find Cyber Legacy heroes. Be careful about going up high ground with no vision, just in case there's a Death Prophet. He's got ult ready, just a hair away from level 12. They really want to pick that up before they fight.
Yeah, Cyber Legacy, we'll see if they fall for this. If they step up to the high ground, doesn't look like it. Keeping the sails hidden on the mid. Kuman is alone top. They've hit him with a scan. And they saw his courier. They know that Kuman's up here. And he is alone. He's playing it smart though, keeping to the tree line, making it very hard for Na'Vi to get to him.
Yeah, but they're taking away his jungle now, and there's just no place for this Deuce to farm on the map at the moment. They go one more wave top, but they know Na'Vi have infiltrated their side of the map. That ward on the high ground is going to be very effective. This is what you want to do as a dire lineup. You take the bottom tier 1, the mid tier 1, and inevitably you try and get control of this Radiant Ancient camp. And you just cut 2 waves. They have this really nice ward that's remained uncounted for some minutes. They're going to see Cyber Legacy gathering behind the tier 2, and they should expect to smoke. Blink picked up on Tiny.
Let's see if they want to try for this Cyber Legacy. If anything, just prepared for Na'Vi to come walking around. They'll try with a jump on a Pasha, but he's got the Greaves done. Very tanky. Slayer using the swaps to try and get in onto the Venomancer. Pasha will go down. Cost of the life of at least Slayer. See the DP continue to try and chase, but Crystallize is in. Magical's got to be careful. The wall gets dropped down, so they do manage to get some of the illusions.
Whoa.
And in fact, this Alch, he's dying.
What?
The Siphon just destroyed him. Ilias also in trouble as Cyber Legacy are doing it. Na'Vi's fight falls apart. There's 4 dead. And the Alch, he just melted despite his farm.
That was so... Where was Ilias? Where was Crystallized? Like, we just talked about how you see them on the ward, and then Pasha kind of wanders forward, gets caught. That's fine, but Na'Vi, you're ahead, but you can't just run into a Death Prophet ultimate and expect to win this fight.
Look how much damage did that? 5k damage straight up for that fight.
Yeah, that was all. You ran a Death Prophet. That doesn't work. That's insane. Not out of the woods just yet, but that's a huge turnaround from Cyber Legacy. But you got like Na'Vi handed that to him. Like Oracle didn't cast ultimate in the engagement. Wow. I mean, but credit to Cyber Legacy, right? They're making plays to try and win the game. They're not just giving up and hiding behind their tower. They're the ones initiating. I'm shocked. You get this Blink Dagger on Crystallize. When you make these sorts of plays, Pasha moving up like that isn't a mistake unless his team isn't prepared. If Crystallize is waiting in the trees and just blinks forward, ult pop, stuns somebody, they're going to win that fight every time. There's no save with the exception of the swaps, which are being used aggressively.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a shake-up there for Na'Vi, allowing Kuman to slowly close up to the Alchemist in farm. Still a gap there for sure, but it's not to sort of write off the farm that Kuman has. He's making good progress on this Medusa.
Yeah, he went for a Brown Boots Midas. He will inevitably catch up to Crystallize.
Yeah, especially if they continue to be able to find fights like this. A lot of money on Magical as well after that last engagement.
He got a ton of gold, and I think he's considering just getting a straight BKB, which I agree with in this spot. You know Na'Vi are going to be looking to press the issue. We just saw them try. Look at the magical damage threat from Navi.
Oh yeah,
it's
BKB.
massive.
Yeah, they can't kill you with BKB.
Yeah.
A couple of siphons, you're invincible in the front.
And they need that, because if Magical can't stay in a fight and be the one pushing forwards, it becomes very difficult for the Tiny and the Medusa to play within the engagement. And it means that Venge has to be thinking about swapping you out rather than saving it for an ally, or perhaps even finding a bonus exit kill. However, it will hurt his item progression. Look at where he is now. Magical 6th place in the net worth. But he's also the one pumping out 7k damage in a team fight, so just a XP dependent carry, or core rather than gold.
Let's have a look. NaVi coming in with the smoke, high ground positioning. Cyber Legacy, they didn't fall for this before. And looks like they'll be unlikely to do so again. Sending out some illusions. Will bait a bit of a reaction from NaVi, so Cyber Legacy aware of what's going on.
Yep, Kuman, as expected, he'll go for the Scotty after the Manta. Healing reduction, also the kiting potential means that if Crystallize oversteps, he just gets in trouble. Another surge into swap, perhaps? Nope, Pasha's aware this time.
Yeah, a little hard to get him with the surprise hit with those wards down. In fact, NaVi, they're going to look to go straight towards Kuman. Kuman with the Manta dodge, he's able to avoid the stun, and now here comes the turn. The swap back, this Aoki's just going to die. Magical's got the damage with the Ghost. Ilias is going to try and turn, will find Slayer, but Cyber Legacy, they've already done the damage. They've taken out the Auk. Bignum's jumping in, Magical able to commit with the BKB as he runs down Pasha. Pasha is going to try and get out on the high ground, but the avalanche is there. Bignum puts it to an end. Again, Cyber Legacy just winning these fights as NaVi, their timing seems to be, is Exorcism up? Yes, let's try and fight them. That's not a good plan.
I'm shocked. Not just that, Crystallize had half of an AC. He had plate mail in his backpack as he's making an aggressive dive forwards.
It wasn't in his backpack, was it?
Well, yeah, but he didn't have a slot for it necessarily. But where's the BKB? We were talking about it. What is Cyber Legacy doing to a BKB Alchemist?
He's dying so quick. Surely the plate mail is more valued than the Hyperstone in these fights.
You would think, but what?
I mean, even the Soul Ring.
Shout out to Slayer. The swaps are on point.
Yes, he's making
3
up.
fights in a row.
He had a bit of a slow start, was sort of like waking up, but now, you know, the coffee's kicked in or something, and Slayer, he's on the ball.
And keep in mind, they're playing into Cyber Legacy's their itemization. Magical rush to BKB. Young G has Yules into bots. You're going to outfarm your opposing mid, no problem, but you're running into DP. You're running at him.
They're
With
doing
ult.
it every time he's got his ult up. They're just choosing
They didn't use Oracle ult again. Alchemist is dying. Like, you first 2 these heroes. The plate mail's still in the backpack.
Well, he didn't need it at the moment. Now he's got the ace.
But why?
It's cool. He's got the ace.
The other concern with this is that you're getting the most valuable aura in Dota 2 against the Darkseer. So if Crystallize ever gets walled, this Radiance and this AC, you cancel it out all of a sudden. It's one of the few games where you'd argue that maybe Yeshiva's would be better. Again, the BKB. You're not going to get vaxxed anymore. There's no chance of getting walled so long as you don't run directly through it.
Full Scotty.
You have a BKB on the Lina, but not the Alchemist.
Yep, there's DD Rune as well. We've got a Deucer in the area to pick this up now. Magical just take it with the bottle. But I mean, you can't help but feel if NaVi lose another team fight, it kind of feels like that they're going to really struggle to actually take home the win this game, NaVi. Cyber Legacy, as you say, this Deuce is just going to scale on and just going to win it. They're already they're struggling to fight Cyber Legacy in the team fights. I don't think it's going to get easier for NaVi. It's only going to get harder.
They have Aegis now, the Mount of Sky. I mean, I credit to Cyber Legacy. You know, just the fact that they didn't mentally check out going down 10-0 and 2 towers to an Alk is pretty laudable. And now they're in a pretty damn good position to win the game. You could argue they're
very
favored.
good position, yeah.
Like, of course you're ahead in gold as NaVi. You have an Alk on your team, but that is huge.
That Alk's just dying.
Yeah. And Magical, like, the net worth is very deceiving because he has the only item relevant for survivability, and that's a BKB. And he's a Death Prophet. He just has to use his spells. His items just don't matter.
Yeah, no, the BKB rush was definitely super smart.
It's crazy. I mean, this is 10k gold lead, but it feels like Cyber Legacy's in the driver's seat. And this is a really cool play. Kuman's got TP, baiting bottom. There's no way Cyber's here.
I know someone's around. Bignum, he's trying to find them. Hang on, he nearly found the Alchemist there. Crystallized blinking away. They're still trying to chase this. It's Magical. Starting to poke with the Siphons. Poison Nova comes out on the side. The turn for the silence. Pashy able to remove it with the Greaves. They roll in. Onto the DP. He's getting changed done. He needs help. He's going to get it. Slayer out swap. The wall is down to the 5. The Laguna does come out onto Slayer, but now Cyber Legacy. They're going to try and run them down. The Ghosts are out. BKB as well from Magical use as he commits on to Crystallize. Na'Vi, can they actually turn and try and fight back into this DP? I don't think they can. They've got to be careful. The concoction's being built up. The BKB has come to an end. They'll go in. Have they got the burst? This time they do. They take out the DP. The Deucer arrives. Is he going to be soon enough to find any kills in return? Ilias, here's the focus as Kuman will try and do the damage before he's out with the TP. Ilias does make it back to base with the TP, and the Fountain Heal will be enough to keep him alive after the False Promise comes to an end. Crystallize now over towards Blizzy. Blizzy, another vacuum. They're trying to get Kuman over to get the damage done. The control's there though. Kuman's being used up. Blizzy and Pignum trying to run over to the safety of this Medusa, bringing the fight closer to Kuman, and it's working. Kuman now has managed to get a hold onto Immersion, takes down one. Now he turns towards Crystallize. The disarm's there. Blizzy, has he got anything else to offer? He's trying to surge himself away. Slayer swaps himself in so that he can get in range for the magic missile onto Crystallize, but Kuman, he's getting focused down by Young G. The damage from this Lina with the right click build rips through the Medusa. The setup for the second stun. Na'Vi, they should be able to do it a second time here as the Kuman Medusa has been isolated. Blizzy's trying to save. The vacuum comes out. It won't be enough to keep this Medusa strong as Na'Vi have been able to break down Cyber Legacy's team fight this time round. As 4 will fall, Na'Vi back on top.
All right, lots to break down that fight. You're taking this. There's a huge difference for Na'Vi if they're not the ones on the aggressive, right? The BKB forced offensively, so suddenly once it runs out, Magical's is a huge target. He dies real quick. They had no Medusa, and because that tier 1's dead, there's nowhere for him to really teleport to get to the fight in time. So they actually engage 15 seconds before Kuman arrives, and he's the one with the Aegis. Notably, Blizzy did a great job. 5-man vac wall. That Alk illusion with the AC and the Radiance lasted until it despawned naturally. So ultimately, better for Na'Vi than it really should have been, but just wild. Like, it feels like these sides have got to recognize you don't want to be the ones chasing. Not to mention Pasha.
Yeah, did see pretty well going for Crystallize in that sense. As you say, it felt like with the way the last 2 fights have gone, Cyber Legacy would feel, well, you know what, we're not going to look for the fights. We're just going to stay on our half of the map, make sure the Deuce is farming, rather than trying to force it.
God, now a Daedalus on Young G. Also,
yeah.
We were talking with Fogged yesterday about how frustrating it is to play Tiny against Venom. By the end of that fight, Pasha had full wards up. Like, there's 12 everywhere, all around. Bignum is just unable to play Dota. Fogg was beaming about how you actually have to just buy smokes for yourself to get a full reset off so you can get out of the fight and then blink back in, because once you're engaged, you're done for. So I see how if you're going to engage, it's got to be clean, and you need to find kills immediately and put Na'Vi on the back foot. You cannot take these long, drawn-out engagements against Alchemist Venno. It's just not going to go well for you.
Especially if you're not killing this Lina. You know, with the Daedalus and the Orb of Destruction, Young G just does so much damage. And definitely one of the big ways that they can tackle this Deucer now. Even as the game scales because of his right-click build. Like, these sort of 700 crits coming out at the speed that they do, it's enough damage to heavily threaten a Medusa that's isolated.
We'll say we're going to start, we've been lauding Magical for his build, and I still think it was the right decision. But we're going to see him start to be punished for it.
Yeah, they're going to get low.
Yep, the BKB becomes less and less value as he uses it, and in addition, again, back to the net worth, his scaling is just not there, because he just doesn't have any innate mana regen, so he can't spam Q off cooldown to farm, so he's wasting a lot of moments. It's going to be just this Deucer who becomes a real force into the late game, but not a huge deal. If Magical can hit 18, that'll be arguably Cyber Legacy's strongest power spike. You have level 20 on the Deucer. Craggy coat as well for Magical. That's huge. He just has to stay alive, get the drains off, keep ghosts running. They're going to smoke.
Try for another smoke. Obviously, last time they went for aggressive play, it weren't great, but that last time was very broken up. They didn't really have Kuman with them at the start of the fight. This time they do have the full 5 ready to go. They've hit them with the scan. They know that Na'Vi's around on the high ground. We're going to see the rolling from Immersion. He tries to go over. Does manage to grab the bouncy rune, but he's straight into the hands of Cyber Legacy. Look at this damage from Young G. Stonegaze is going to be popped as they get into position to try and freeze up Crystallize. He's dragged back. Crystallize, he needs help. He's going to get it. A false promise will protect the Alchemist for now. Na'Vi starting to step to the side. They're going to blade out to Magical. Magical bots the BKB. Pasha tries to get the Poison Nova off. Will manage to get onto pretty much the whole team, but Pasha is dying. Magical able to clean up another this time with the Exorcism. Bignum jumps in with the combo onto Ilias. Ilias, he'll go down as well. Cyber Legacy, when they go in with the full 5-man smoke, they've still got that very strong team fight that Na'Vi struggles to deal with.
You've got to respect this team fight more as Na'Vi. Like, it's what, 4 fights in a row? The team going in is losing. You're just running into, like, a pit of destruction. You cannot fight into the enemy side. Again, full duration Alchemist Illusion. Really well done by Blizzy. This time Ilias is there to get the ult off, and because of that weird Oracle ult and blink interaction, you're really just never going to kill Crystallize. He'll get a moment, he'll just blink away, and with so much innate regen, he's going to survive. But you can see, like, this is really anybody's game still. It's wild to me that Immersion, like, you're rolling into the rune as if the 5 heroes of Cyber Legacy who are not showing on map are not there. Where else are they going to be?
We'll see Roshan. Na'Vi, they're going to start poking at it. I mean, they know that there's none of the big ults up. And with Youngji's damage, they do it very, very fast. This looks to be a quick and easy Roche for Na'Vi. So they'll have the Aegis and Cheese for the next fight.
And they put the Aegis on the Lina. That's right, Call. He's actually the main source of damage now.
Oh, he is, by far. By far, he is.
I love the build. This is very much like the young pub star up-and-coming talent build on Lina. You know, no Aether Lens, no Ags. He's not a spellcaster. He's here to carry the game. And probably my favorite build. The bots Yules have helped him progress and accelerate. Again, the difference, you know, he's almost doubling up Magical's net worth. A big part of that's just the benefits of Lina, but also because of the itemization. He's always on map. He is either fighting enemy heroes or he's farming creeps with almost no downtime, running around 539 move speed, just 16 off haste, 11 off haste.
And what is there really that's going to threaten him? I mean, when he pops the BKB, the Stone Gaze is the only sort of thing that he has to worry about. But
it's
other
the swap.
than that,
The swap.
this is okay. So they're getting him out of position.
But to your point, yeah, if he's in position, he's not dying.
No one's able to turn and try and outright click him. You know, even Kuman on this Medusa, you're not going to win the war against Alina with Daedalus MKB.
I wouldn't have even minded if Kuman went for a rapier earlier here. Although, I mean, at some point he'll pick one up. My concern is that if Na'Vi threaten base and he doesn't have one, I don't know if he'll have the damage output to force Crystallize off tower.
I mean, we'll see if he reconsiders the butterfly when he sees the MKB coming out on the Lina.
Yeah, I love the build as well on Pasha. Just teamfight items galore, but the second halberd is real key. We've seen Kuman really just struggle. He went up high ground. You got the swap on the Lina, but immediately the disarm from Crystallize was there onto the Dusa, so no real damage threat throughout the Stone Gaze. And Youngji doesn't need much time to run away if he's moving this quick.
What's the point? If we got any halberds coming out from Cyber Legacy, I feel like you might need to consider them yourselves against the Lina.
It's tough. You just can't get in range. That's the problem. Who can really close that gap?
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
Na'Vi back on track, taking these objectives. The top tower falls, and they'll hit them up with the smoke. Already see what Crystallize. He's looking to build his Ags. Who's sort of top of the list here with these Ags? Who's he trying to get it to?
You could make an argument for Immersion. Maybe the Lina, just to pierce the magical BKB and blast him in the face with 1200 pure damage.
They're gonna go. Oh, but he didn't find a target. He didn't find a target. Crystallize, he stunned himself. Slayer's gonna try and swap him away from the team.
Oh my god.
Crystallize, he's dead. What the? He's dead. He just went straight in. I mean, he did have the ward right on the high ground, but he went in. He couldn't find a target there. Was looking for the tiny, but Bignum immediately blinked out. And he stunned himself.
I don't know.
Radiant's courier has been killed.
What do you... Okay. Cyber Legacy gonna push mid. Let's just move on. Na'Vi.
Youngji's going for the wrap.
Radiant structures are
He's going for the rat here on the top lane, trying to find the tier 3. The Cyber Legacy, they get that tier 2 tower.
has fallen.
Money on Kuman.
I'm sure.
Interesting here. Look what he's queued up. As I said, he doesn't want the butterfly because there's an MKB. This could be one of the ways to what, just slam down Lina.
I love
the Abyssal.
That is actually so sick. Yeah, you get
Just
right on
Abyssal
top of the Lina, and then you also have the ability because Young G's full offense.
Abyssal into Stone Gaze, and then bam, Young G is in a lot of trouble.
Even if he starts running away.
Oh, but you can see why I was thinking.
You go Rapier, right? We saw yesterday, I would argue, the only thing that you can glean from that long 100-minute game was the Drow. Shad should have bought a Rapier earlier. I think that Kuman might be making the same mistake here because you're going to need one later on in this game. Why not just now? You know, you're going to go take what could be a game-winning team fight around the next Roshan or next push if Na'Vi make it. I don't know if a Daedalus represents enough damage, but again, like we haven't really seen a real fight for Cyber Legacy that they've won. That's the third time they've killed Crystallize when Ilias just can't possibly be in range to get the ult off. You all know the song, Don't Walk Up the High Ground with No Vision. Apparently we need a second verse, Don't Blink Up the High Ground blind into... I guess they had a ward, but still. Like,
the wall was very fresh though, so I don't know if that wall was only placed after, like literally as they went in. I think it must have been. Because it was taken out, obviously, after that play did come out. Cyber Legacy realizing that the only reason why Na'Vi do jump up is if they do have a ward on that cliff.
Hey, there's a lot of pressure on this series, though. Old Na'Vi versus new Na'Vi. Both teams really want to win this match. And it is, of course, for elimination. Spirit Vessel now on Immersion. That'll be very helpful.
Kuma, he's not invested in the Daedalus yet, so maybe still considering the Rapier option.
Definitely wants to save buyback as well in this game. If he were to go down, both sides represent enough structure damage that if either of the big cores die, it's just a straight up play for Throne if buyback's not on the table.
No, he's going to go for it. So Daedalus is done. He buys it out. Timeless Relic. Who are you giving that to? Probably what, the DP?
Yeah.
And Kuman is just going to want to try and get his level 25, and he's got it. So level 25 on the Medusa. And there we go, some levelers. That's
weird. Same items dropping. Dude,
I've talked. You know, let me talk about this. Yeah, it's definitely a thing. The RNG of the items dropping is tied to some sort of in-game timer. So if both teams hit creeps exactly the same time, I don't know if it's guaranteed, but it's very much like 80% plus. It will be the same item that drops at that second millisecond of the game.
80% plus.
It happens a lot. It's tied to some sort of, RNG with computer systems is normally tied to some sort of mathematical system. Yeah. I don't know, but it definitely, you see it in practice.
Yeah, we'll say the split shot uses modifiers talent with this Daedalus, the MKB, the Scotty is real value here for Kuman.
Oh yeah, I know.
So it makes sense to get the Daedalus.
And especially when you get the Satanic, right, just having the lifesteal and all those hits. As long as you're able to hit something, you're going to just be healing up much more damage than Na'Vi can do.
We haven't spoken about him too much, but Blizzy's the unsung hero of this game. Every single fight, he's got an Alchemist to play with, and I love the itemization. Full team fight now going for the Solar Crest just to help Kuman deal the DPS. This could be the big fight for the game. Na'Vi moving forwards.
Oh, Bingham, he's in. He's going to look to burst Passion. He's going to be able to do so. Passion didn't get a single spell out. Kuman, early with the Stone Gaze, was trying to isolate.
Crystallize?
What? Oh, he's dying. He's dead.
What?
They couldn't get to him. Nobody was there in range for the save. I mean, again, I think this is just down to Slayer with a swap that got him out there. What got him in that position?
His own Blink Dagger.
No, he blinked that far? No, he must have been swapped. There's no way he ends up that far away from the rest of his team. What? I mean, Crystallize is dying again. And he does have buyback. But at this, Kuman, he's got the same net worth as the Alchemist. Na'Vi, for all the lead they had in gold, and again, they just started coming in with these fights, losing every single one of them. The only fight they did win was the one that Cyber Legacy then brought to them. But since that point, Cyber Legacy, they're just ahead. It doesn't matter about the numbers, they are ahead.
You gotta be careful now. Bignum just comboed there. He's gonna realize I should have tossed back, and look for him to do that right now. If anybody on Na'Vi step out of position. Oh, buyback.
They're gonna try and go for the Medusa here. See if they can kill him off. Manta's popped. He's moving away. Crystallize jumping in onto the Darkseer. Will find one. Turns over with the Concoction. The Light Striker raised out. They get a second. Na'Vi with the Crystallize and Ilias buyback, able to hold the defense. Magical. Is he going to be saved? Bignum's going to be taken out by the two of them. Swap out. Slayer trying to keep his Death Prophet alive. Still, Immersion's able to roll in with the stun. Na'Vi will hold. The buybacks pay off massively as they take down all 5. See if they can get anything more with this buyback. See if they can now force out the buybacks from Cyber Legacy themselves.
They're going to get so much gold thanks to these bounty runes, but there is no Roshan. Really smart buyback there. Just perfect initiation. Kick the Medusa back. Cyber Legacy arguably should have just cut their losses, but they thought about fighting with no DP ult, no Medusa ult. That's just not an engagement you're going to win. And what might even be more important, no wall. If you don't have wall, you don't have a crystallized illusion. That represents 10 armor plus the radiance.
But now, you know, we'll see how many buybacks do end up coming out from Cyber Legacy. They got this tier 2. They do still have fortification. They're probably going to need to use some of them. Yeah, Bigdam's going to pop his. Can they hold off on using the buybacks on the big core?
Oh, wow, they killed Young G. I didn't even realize he popped after the Oracle ult. Kuman did enough damage to take him out there, which means the building damage from Na'Vi isn't enough to threaten Throne, which means that they should be able to conserve the Kuman buyback.
I'll see, they might just, I mean,
oh my God,
he's been swapped in.
You've got
he's dying. Where's the help? Where's the help? There's nobody helping.
The silence is there.
There's nobody helping. He can't help.
He's no buyback. 120 seconds.
That's probably it. 2 minutes, no out. Just so many times. I mean, as you said, that time around, what was it? Magic was getting in with the silence on Ilias.
Perfect timing on everything. You get the silence out on all 3 of Navi's backliners as Slayer gets the swap forwards. Where is Crystallizes BKB? How many times?
He never won it. He didn't want it. He didn't want it. He didn't want it this game, and that could cost them.
They have a leveler on Dusa. There are 90 seconds to win the game. March down middle, attack the enemy Ancient. That's the name of the game. That's going to be Cyber Legacy strat now. 5-on-4. It is on Young G and Pasha to do what they can to keep this game alive.
Now, can they? Can they really hold against this 5-man push of Cyber Legacy? I don't know. Kuman's going to take these building downs pretty quick.
No buyback on Lina. Another swap.
And this is almost certainly another kill. Eon just coming to an end. Pasha gets the ult off, just trying to...
Don't get distracted.
Create a distraction. It's kind of working, but it's not going to be a long distraction. Pasha goes down.
He has no buyback either.
Wait, what?
He bought back in the last fight.
Oh, he did as well, didn't he? It was Pasha, Crystallize, and Ilias. I mean, this is 45 seconds. You know, time is passing.
1 creep remains.
There we go. That's enough to take down the backdoor protection.
Just go Throne.
I mean, you're right. They don't even need to hit these racks.
Go Throne.
Hit the tier 4s.
No. What? Guys, come on.
Go. What are you doing? You know that there's no buyback on the 2 of them. I mean, I guess it's the safer route.
No, it's less safe. Okay. You could just win the game.
I guess they don't want to win it yet.
They have a leveler.
Dire's top barracks.
Okay, they're going to let the game go on. They're going to let the game go on.
Oh my God, Cyber Legacy.
I mean, there's still a minute without the Venom. They want to play it slow. Roche is up, so they're going to go back and get Roche.
They know, like, it's not about a lack of gold. They know there's no buyback on Pasha or
oh yeah, no, it's
there.
the timer, and it was a very clear time as well. Still 4 minutes, so
Lina can't play aggressive. You just get swapped. Like, oh man, this. You know, look, they're still in a great spot. Cyber Legacy.
They're playing it. They're just.
You take 100% chance of winning the game
instead of the 90% that you close it there, right? Or the 95, depending on how.
If we go off the Dota plus statistics, they're at what, 85%?
So sure,
it was 100 just then.
You think straight up you end the game before Pasha's up 5v4?
It's 5-on-3.
You've got this Dusa with a leveler. I said they'll play it cool. Look at the Aegis. Look at the fruits of Roshan. They'll move down to bottom. But Na'Vi has got everyone back up again, so Na'Vi getting another chance in a game where maybe they shouldn't have.
Hey, look, at the end of the day, this is a big series.
Sure.
Arguably the most important Cyber Legacy has played in their short time as this new squad. You want to win the game. You want to play it safe. Ultimately, you now have an Aegis on your Medusa. You're still in a fine position. It's just a question of, do you prefer to take the game-winning team fight 5-on-3 or 5-on-5 with an Aegis? And they chose the latter. They have the 2 racks advantage. The long march down bottom begins. Na'Vi, however, will have the defender's advantage. So far, that has been key to either side when they win team fights. Whoever gets jumped wins.
Oh, we go Na'Vi. They're coming out with a smoke. This is going to be into what, an Aegis cheese lineup. All ults available. This could be a bit risky from Na'Vi. I think they're starting to realize that. They're backing up to the base. Can they really come out and make a smoke attempt onto Cyber Legacy with the Aegis on Medusa? That would seem pretty wild. Let's see here. Immersion, he's going to try. He's going to try and going on to Slayer. The ghosts are out. Kuma steps across. Bignum, he's in with the combines. Crystallize, he's in trouble. There's the false promise. Will come out in time. Crystallize tried to go back in with the Abyssal, but he's just going to die. He is just dead for sure. As that's got to be it. Crystallize is out. No buyback on him. No buyback on Ilias. Cyber Legacy, they can finish this off as, I mean, NaVi just choosing to take their last stand outside the base into Aegis Cheese and into every single ult for Cyber Legacy.
They also initiated on the, like, do you know what Slayer's purpose has been so far in these team fights, Owen? To swap enemy heroes into his team. If you jump the Venge, he can die.
I mean, they're just cleaning up here. And this is game over. I mean, Bignum did go down, but yeah, it doesn't matter. GG is called. Cyber Legacy will be the victors of this game one. As the NaVi out, it just didn't work out this time. Far too many times bad moves were made, and Crystallize, he paid the price with his life.